Everybody can get out of it. Everybody on this planet, if they have it for 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, year, 2 year, does not matter. If you have the knowledge, you will get out of it.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean O'Connor, author of the Depersonalization Manual, and today I'm speaking with Shivam Tyagi, 28 years old, a journalist based in New Delhi, India. Shivam's experience with depersonalization derealization disorder began after consuming weed, triggering a disorienting state that lingered and affected both his work and his daily life. His symptoms included hearing more sounds than usual, as if his senses were overstimulated, visual problems, blurriness, trouble reading things far away, and a strange side vision, and a constant semi-high state, for he felt like he was never fully sober. Shivam's DPDR lasted for about 5 months in total, but thankfully he is now fully recovered and has been living free of symptoms for many months. He recently wrote to me and said, "I take interviews for my profession, and I never thought I'd be inclined to give one myself, but I wanted to share my experience with you and your audience." And today, Shivam is doing exactly that, sharing his journey through DPDR, how he recovered, and what life feels like now that he's fully back to normal. Shivam, you're very welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Sean, for having me here. I am doing great, thanks to you. So yeah, very excited to be here today and talk about this.
Very excited to have you on the channel, man. Thank you so much for being with us. Shivam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm a journalist. I'm based in New Delhi. I've been a journalist for last 4 5 years, and yeah, covering various facets of business journalism here. Uh, I've covered healthcare and pharma. I've covered equity markets. Um, I've also covered finance and interviewed a lot of chief financial officers. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Sounds like a very interesting job. How was life in New Delhi?
Well, it is chaotic but fun. So a lot of traffic, noise, lot of traffic, a lot of things that are challenging. But absolutely, the food is great. So I mean, you won't get daily food anywhere on this planet. So I mean, you have your wins and losses. It's been that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Shivam, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with DPDR and how did it start for you?
So my relationship with anything like an alcohol or weed has always been occasional. So but whenever I was doing weed or I was smoking it, uh, off late I started to feel a little paranoid. When I was used to be out of the house, and when I used to be when I'm even in the house, but I need to go outside. There is a social anxiety I would feel. How would I reach home? Someone should go and drop me at my home. So these are kind of precursors that I started having while I was having weed. And there was after some time I was, well, in around 2022, I went to the Himalayas, and there for the first time, I instead of smoking it, I ate a brownie which has weed in it. So, and I was, after eating it, I was trekking. So into 30 minutes into my trek, I was not feeling anything, and suddenly there was this high which is which I felt for the first time. I could say it was a high at that time because I didn't know what it was, but actually it was my first DPDR experience. It lasted for about 2 hours. I could manage, somehow manage. I was trekking, but I could somehow manage to get to a nearby hotel and stayed there for 2 hours. It got fine after that, and there was nothing that happened. But this fear of consuming weed and being outside always, troubled me, or there was fear inside of me. And I don't know why I kept on doing it. Now that I see that there were so many issues that I was having with this, with this drugs, why was I keep doing it? It's actually the habit, right? But and so I was, I remember I was coming to my home after my work, and I was with a friend. Uh, I smoked a few puffs with him, and the moment prior to that, I was having fun. I was having fun with him and everything. After those two smokes, I actually asked him, "Can you drop me home?" So I don't know what used to happen. Anxiety used to shoot up, uh, and even then, even after having so much this thing with the drug, I remember being at my home one night, and I was with my friend. I myself lit one joint, and I remember only three puffs. And that, if you know, or if you have smoked weed ever, three puffs is not big. After those three puffs, I felt a short circuit in my brain. Like suddenly, I was transported somewhere else, right? I was there here, and suddenly I'm feeling I'm not feeling that I am in the current realm or something. And I was, for about 2 hours, I was doing rounds of my living room, uh, and I told my friend that I'll be fine, just leave me alone. I felt that this is something which is happening again, which has happened to me earlier in the hills. So I thought, okay, it's a drug reaction, or whatever it is, it'll be fine in 2 hours' time. During that time, I was panting, my heart rate was going up, and all this time I was burping a lot. So I thought, there is, if I'm burping and I'm drinking water and I'm burping, this the high is getting better, and I'm able to hold myself, because it's constant. It's like, uh, you know, I can feel I'm here, but I can not feel I'm here, and it's just a constant struggle was happening. So I was burping a lot. 2 hours after it got better, I could feel that now I'm in my senses again. Uh, I remember sleeping that night, that I'm, again, this something, this has happened, which had happened earlier also, but I'm not going to go towards weed anymore. I promised myself that night itself that it is doing not right things with me, so I'll just keep it out of my life. The next morning, it was a Saturday. I drove myself and my family to my nearby hometown, and I remember in the morning I was feeling that. Uh, Am I fine? Am I back to normal? I'm still asking that question in the morning. And I'm like, yeah, I feel fine, but there is something which is not right. I can feel that there is something. Okay, it might be something. Let's just put my mind off it. 2 days I'm in my hometown for the weekend, and all this while I can feel that there is something which is not right. Whenever I'm indulging myself in some tasks, it's fine. But when I'm sitting, I feel there is something which is not right with me. And cut to Monday, I am in my office. Afternoon, I am busy in my work, uh, and I go and get a coffee for myself. After having that coffee, I suddenly get another DPDR episode, where, and I this time I panic, because this time I cannot relate it with anything else, like a drug. Like, why is it happening in my waking life, or not a waking, or a sober life, where I've not done anything? So I asked my senior that I'll just go out for a walk. I went out. I remember I completely panicked, and I was asking myself, why is this happening? Have I done something wrong to myself with that weed or anything like that? And at this time also, I was constantly burping. I remember 2 days back that there was a lot of burps. So I might take a soda and it might get better. So I took a soda. It didn't get any better, but it was, I calmed it a little bit. Always, whenever it happens, so heart starts racing because you don't know what is happening. So I calmed it down. I told my boss that I'll take leave, that I'm feeling something in my brain and stuff like that. I went home. Uh, so I related it with my stomach. I started doing research around it, that, how, like, can stomach problems affect your brain. From somewhere I picked up this word fogginess, and I could relate my condition to that fogginess is something that I'm feeling. There's no thing that I am feeling that I am 90% not all right. It is just 20-30% fogginess I have in the brain all time, so it's fogginess. So I remember that night, that evening itself, I went to a gastroenterologist. Being a healthcare and pharma reporter, I know the specialities and everything. Oh, stomach is wrong. Let's go to a specialist. I went to him. I explained that I'm having a lot of burps and all that. He suspected some kind of infection. He put me on antibiotics. For 2 weeks, I was on antibiotics and a lot of anti-gas, antacid medicines. But during that time also, I was having a lot of, unease. I After 2 days of leave, I began my work again, because work calls, you cannot explain what is wrong with your life to your boss, and they will not understand that. So after a few days, I was back in the office, um, and first day was a very big effort. After that experience had happened in my sober life, that first day going back to the office after this break was very hard for me. I had to be very. I remember that I had to. I mean, it feels like you don't want to get out at all in this, when you are in this situation, because you I was afraid that what if I have this again in the public, what if I collapse, because I have a social anxiety inbuilt in me, that I when I'm around others, I watch myself and stuff like that. So took a lot of effort to come back to office, but I was, after some time, I was fine. The first day went okay, but all this while, that you are not well and all. Second day, again, while returning to home, I had a again that episode happened with me, while I was in public transport going to my home. Again, I took rest for a few days, and this kind of back and forth. Although I didn't have that kind of episode again, but this kind of back and forth with this condition began happening for about 2 months, when I didn't know what it was. So first full month, I was being treated for a stomach infection, and at that time, when I was going for follow-ups, I even told them that this thing is not getting better, and I had something similar once again, and I don't know, there's some gas which is there going to my brain, or whatever is happening. I told him about some conditions and all, that could be because there is the gut bacteria and everything affects everything here. So I was also thinking that on those lines. At that time, I didn't know that it is only happening because of what experience I had with the weed consumption. I was thinking that it is happening in my sober life. Why is it happening in my sober life? It should not. If I was on a drug and if there is a reaction to it, well, that's fine. So uh, for 1 month, the he was treating my stomach infection, but it did not uh, go well. I was in my office one day and I was struggling with this. One of my friend told me to go and, don't, this is something related with the brain. You go and see a psychiatrist. If this stomach infection thing is not making you well, I went to a psychiatrist. Uh, and I remember going there, and I told myself that I'll tell him about the previous experience also, weed consumption experience also, because I think that by that time I knew that there might be some correlation to it. So I explained him all the thing, and he said that this is anxiety that you are going through, and he casually threw in a word DR as in there. He said depersonalization disorder. um, and he said, you will be fine in 6 months if you take these drugs that he was prescribing. And he said that this weed has sort of set off a chain reaction in your brain. Why that's why you were having these kind of episodes. So if you will take drugs, you will be fine. So I he prescribed me drugs for the first 6 months, and he was like, and then we'll slowly, after the 6 months, we'll slowly get you off the drugs. So I asked him, whether there will be any withdrawal symptoms of these drugs and stuff like that, um, because and he was like, "Why are you worried about withdrawal symptoms now? You were not worried when you were consuming weed. Why you're worried about drugs?" I was like, "Okay." I told him I'll take the drugs. He told me that in this condition, 70% people get fine, but 30% people don't get fine, and they have to take drugs for the whole life. That scared me, that I may have to take the drugs for the rest of my life. And um I came back home. I started researching that word that he had put, DPDR. On the next day when I was in office, I was coming back from office, and I remember reading the symptoms of DPDR, depersonalization. I was like, "That's it. That's what I have. This is exactly how I'm feeling. This is exactly how I'm feeling. That I feel that it's disconnect. I'm stuck somewhere." And all the symptoms kind of put my attention that it is what I was going through. But with those first 2 months were like a very bad experience, in the sense because I didn't know what I was going through, and while I was on drugs, I was not getting well. So yeah, it was a struggle back and forth going to the office. But actually, of going to office helped me a lot. To For 8 hours of that day, my mind was constantly kind of away from it, but also with it. I knew that I was not well, and but there was some uh, kind of distraction which was there in those 2 months. I remember we started researching about it, what it is, depersonalization, derealization, and the moment I got to know about it, that it is. I started reading very scary stories of people who are 20 years, 15 years, and it is still not cured. While I read the positive information also, that it kind of goes on its own for most of the people, it goes on its own, it goes away on its own. But I could read that it could stay for longer also. There were cases. There is a website where people share their stories, and I started reading about that, and it got me really scared that I might have this for like 10 years, 15 years. And so, but as I was researching about it, I was doom scrolling about it. um I remember reading some people's uh, experiences on Quora, and they said, accept it, and it will go away. The moment I used to accept it, it used to be really bad. I used to have a very, depressing kind of mood, and I would start panicking the moment I accepted it. So accepting it was not working with me. So I was researching about it. I casually threw in this word on YouTube, and that's what led me to your videos. I read about, so I saw some videos around symptoms. I saw a recovery story. Uh, and after a few days of that, after hearing that recovery story, I decided that I'm going to buy your course. Because by that time, I knew, watching from your videos, that you have a course specifically designed for this condition. And since I knew that there wasn't any pill that could treat me, I thought this was a chance that I was willing to take that course and kind of get on my recovery, recovery period, as you call it. So yeah, I mean, that was a very long kind of explanation into what happened. I'm sure that yeah.
Yeah, it's thank you for going through that with us, Shivam. Yeah, it is such a frightening experience, but it's what you've described as you know yourself now. It's so common. It's an incredibly common experience. Basically the same thing that happened to me as well. Um, having a bad weed experience and the panic that goes with it is something that I think people aren't quite prepared for, especially when you're told about weed, or you see, weed has this kind of image of being this, it's super relaxed. It's just, if you want to chill out, you smoke some weed or take an edible and watch a movie or whatever. And it is that a lot of the time. But if you take too much, or if you get the dosage wrong, it can become to quote Louis C.K., "Oh, this is an ordeal now." You thought you were going to have fun and now to relax, and now it's becoming something absolutely terrifying. The thing you mentioned, Shivam, of saying a three puffs is not that big, and that's the thing, is that's what I would have thought as well. That, like, I mean, I put it this way, like I've had experiences where, like, I've been at a house party where someone hands me, when I was younger, like, if someone hands me a joint and you take three puffs off it and you're fine, everything's grand, like, and you're laughing, you're chilling out with your friends. And then, and years later, I was at a music festival and I took three puffs off another joint, and then the next like hour and a half was gone. And I had no idea what had happened. Like, it was whatever I smoked was like incredibly strong. Same as what happened when I was in Amsterdam and I smoked that joint. That, it's like the difference in the strength between weed and different types of weed, different joints, like how much like tobacco is mixed in or whatever, is huge. It's huge. Like, it can have a massive effect on you if you're not prepared for it. And I certainly wasn't prepared for it. And the thing you mentioned, Shivam, about, trying to sleep it off and the next day feeling like, okay, I'm a bit better, but something still isn't right. Um, why is this happening when I'm sober? And then the day continues, and then the next day is there, and the next day, and you're like, it's still not gone. And then you start thinking, okay, well, how long does THC stay in your system? Is it possible that it's like stuck in my brain somehow? Have I damaged myself somehow, etc., etc.? And the thing you said as well about, like, yeah, the thing you mentioned as well about, finding the word brain fog or fogginess and thinking that's it. So we're so desperate to find an answer that makes sense that the first thing we see, we go like, oh, that's it. That has to be it. And so you take the steps to address that. And when that doesn't do it, then you're kind of more frightened and you're on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Something I always like to mention is, like, the scariest time. It's like for anybody who develops DPDR or any anxiety-based condition, but the scariest time is the time between when you first get it and the time between here and when you find out what it is. So when you find out that there's a name for it, it's called depersonalization, derealization. It's caused by high anxiety, panic attacks, which can often be triggered by a bad drug experience or accumulated stresses. It's extremely common. It's completely harmless. It's completely temporary, and you'll recover. Now, when you find that information, that doesn't switch it off, but it just points you in the right direction towards recovery. But the scariest time is that time before you find that information and you don't know what the hell is going on. And you think that you're going crazy, that you've damaged your brain, that you are still high and you can't come down, that you have psychosis, none of which has
But
happened.
yeah, but I would say the scariest time is even after that, when you find out it is what it is, and you read bad stories, you read bad things about it, then that is the most scariest time, because when you don't know, you are still in trial and error mode. Your energy is there, kind of distracted. But when you know that it is going to stay for the next 15 or 16 years, or it might not ever go away, it will bury you deep inside the ground. So that actually was the scariest period. First after knowing it, and then couple 1 week or 2 week before I got to your video, was the scariest time I was in. And I had note in my phone right now, which I wrote at that time to myself. I was, even in those my scariest moment, I was just motivating myself. I was just clinging to hope in that time, that okay, this will get better, this will get better. Kept telling during that time, and thankfully it led me to your video, and I bought the course, and rest is just.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That is particularly terrifying too when you end up on the forums and you see people who've had this for 10 years, 20 years, and then you're just like, oh my God, how is this possible, Um, and it seems very frightening. That scared the life out of me first when I found it. But the thing is that it actually makes sense because
Yeah.
all that shows you is that people get first of all, it's super common that people get the condition, and it takes people different amounts of time to find the correct information to recover. That's all. And it's the same with all anxiety-based conditions. So if you take another anxiety-based condition like agoraphobia, for example, it's extremely common, extremely treatable. There are defined ways and means to address it. There are cognitive behavioral therapy techniques and acceptance and commitment therapy techniques, exposure therapy techniques. It is absolutely treatable, and people get this and recover from it every day of the week. Okay. However, if you were to go onto agoraphobia forums, it's not like everybody on there has had it for 6 months and recovered. Like, of course, there's people who've had it for years and years and years. But one of the reasons they've had it for years and years is because they're on the forums every day talking about the agoraphobia or the DPDR, because there is such a strong temptation to do that. But in order to recover, you have to stop doing that. And I know that because I was that guy for almost 2 years. I was on the forums every day, constantly researching it, talking about it. And the thing is that the forums also kind of like, and also you'll see people who are on the forums and who say, I had it for 6 months and I recovered. So, okay, I'm out. And then the replies will be, oh, 6 months, try 15 years. That's like, oh my God, that's not, as if like you don't have my version of it. But it's not, it's because you're on the forum answering like that. That's part of the pattern of behavior that keeps it going. And again, no judgment. I was exactly that person for 2 years on the forums all day, every day, comparing and contrasting my symptoms, and then wondering why that evening I couldn't stop thinking about anxiety and DPDR, having spent the whole day researching them, talking about them. It's
And
scary.
there
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and then there are things that coming to your mind, right? I'm just in my 20s or in my late 20s. I have so many responsibilities in my life. I'm the only son. I have this to take care of, that to take care of. How am I going to live my life like this?
Yeah.
So that kind of again puts a lot of pressure on you, and you read about this wrong stuff, uh, and you're reading about the right stuff also, but the wrong stuff overtakes it, and you're always your mind is making you more negative. What if, is there are a lot of what ifs in this whole period, so you tend to be more inclined towards that small percentage who did not get better vis-a-vis the large percentage who do get better. So you are saying for the worst case scenario for yourself in that moment, and I feel which people should not. And that, because as you say in your course, and I believe it right now, everybody can get out of it. Everybody on this planet, if they have it for 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, year, 2 year, does not matter. There is no pill for it. I can understand it. But the only pill for it is the knowledge. If you have the knowledge, you will get out of it. That is the that is the main thing.
Absolutely. And as you say, Shivam, the reason that we tend to ignore all of the positive information when we're in it. We ignore all the positive information, or we're aware of it, but we're more drawn to the idea that, oh, what if there's a version of this that I can't recover from? What if I have that? And the reason we do that is because that's anxiety's job. Anxiety's job is to jump to the worst possible conclusion and disregard evidence, because as an evolutionary tool, that's extremely useful. If you are in a life or death situation, if you're being chased by a wild animal, that type of catastrophic thinking is very useful because it will cause you to be as cautious as possible and, get yourself out of a dangerous situation. However, it's not useful when we're trying to rationally analyze our own recovery from anxiety. Because then we disregard all the positive stuff and we say, oh, I think I've got the version that lasts forever. But the thing is that everybody thinks that. Everybody who has ever had any anxiety-based condition has thought to themselves, mine is different. I know other people have recovered. I don't think I can. And everybody believes it with the same amount of conviction as everybody else. But it doesn't matter. You can and still will recover. And the thing you said about there's no pill that can treat me as well. I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, in terms of like medication with SSRIs and such, they can reduce, or they can increase your levels of serotonin, which can reduce levels of anxiety and depression, which can reduce the symptoms, and they can be helpful in recovery. But you're absolutely right in saying that there is no specific pill, nor will there ever be, I would imagine, that can switch it off, because what you're changing is a habit of thought and behavior, essentially. And there is no pill for that. In the same way that there's no pill that you can take that is going to make you want to change your diet. There's no pill you can take that is going to make you want to learn a language or go to the gym. You have to make that change of behavior yourself. And it feels frustrating when we find that out at first, because typically with most medical issues, the problem that you have, you go to a doctor and the doctor says, okay, here's what you do. You do A, B, and C, and you take this pill and you wait for 2 months and you'll be fine, Whereas with anxiety-based conditions, it's very much about kind of an internal change and patience and allowing and focusing away from the condition, instead of kind of like looking at, okay, how am I today? How am I this week? How will I be next week? You stop focusing on it like that at all, which feels very counterintuitive, but it works. It's interesting, Shivam, as well, what you mentioned about the doctor. Like, so your doctor knew what DPDR was, but then also said that like with 70% of people recover, but 30% don't. I mean,
Yeah, and he was saying that it is a WHO data, and I looked, I tried to find, because I was a healthcare journalist. I went home, I tried to find it. There's no data available like this, and specifically around this. So I think he was just trying to get me on drugs, and which I was not comfortable with. And because I was like, what if I get out of it and I have withdrawal symptoms, and then the medications become a problem for me. So I was like pretty rational about it. I was like, okay, let's research it more before we go ahead and make that decision. And I remember, it's funny you say, I remember during my recovery period, or during that time when I didn't get to see your videos, I was having a terrible time with it, uh, even after seeing that psychiatrist. And I remember talking to my friend saying that I might go and I might need the drugs because I'm not handling it very well. I know because it is available. I mean, you go into way much detail in your videos, but the common thing is available on the internet that you don't focus in it or you nothing like that, and you just it will go away on its own. You just don't focus on it, something like that. So I was like, okay, it will go away on its own. Let me just be brave enough to handle it, and it's just some time that it might. But I felt like I might need the drugs because I'm not dealing with it very well, and I might need that help. But I saw your videos and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, I'll just try this first. And maybe later we see if this does not work out, I'll go to drugs because I was very, uh, I mean, while I say that drugs do help and it may help some people, but if you have a preconceived notion about those drugs itself, that it may not help you, so I thought that that might not work for me. And when I already know that there is no correlation between this condition and the drug, then I knew that it's not logical for me to take it. And it's funny you said that it's just a belief, and I was thinking to myself the same thing, that what if tomorrow started believing in Satan? There is no pill for it. I only have to tell myself that the Satan is not for real, and this is just how much I'm thinking about it that has made me believe into Satan. So it is, you have to kind of treat it on your own by not focusing on it, by focusing your attention elsewhere.
Yeah. As I find it interesting, Shivam, that like as you being a journalist, like you've obviously you have a desire to kind of get to the bottom of things. You have that investigative urge, is what I mean. So, I mean, did you apply that same focus onto DP and Dior when it happened? I mean, for me, and I'm certainly not a journalist, but all I did all day was focus on it and research it. Was that something you encountered?
I think, let me say this: anybody who gets this condition becomes a journalist because all they do is research about it because they want to get out of it 24/7. The moment I remember, I when I used to lie down on my bed, I used to feel that only these 8 hours I'll be away from this. I'll enjoy only these 8 hours. Rest of my waking hours, 16 hours, I was not enjoying. So all throughout the day, I'm having so many questions in my mind. What if this? What if that? And I'm on the internet and I'm going through the studies. I get to know that there's no correlation between this, but there is this, but there is that. So yeah, I think everybody becomes a journalist and everybody wants to know everything about it, and that is kind of good and bad with this.
Yeah, yeah. There are drawbacks, and also the availability of the internet,
Yeah.
the modern internet, where you can basically research this 24/7 for the rest of your life, and you will never get to the end of the information because there's constantly videos coming up about it. There's constantly, like blogs and social media, like it has taken off, and in a way that's great because it helps us to identify what it is. So if you type the symptoms into Google now, you'll it'll pop up. But I mean, even when I had it back in 2005, like it took me a long time to find out what the actual name of it was. But this was pre-social media, pre-YouTube, and Google would have been a lot more kind of primitive than it is now. So there are certainly good points and bad points to it. Um, Shivam, did you continue working at your job throughout this time as well? How were you able to manage that?
So I was doing it. I mean, I was doing it back. I was going back and forth in that. So whenever I was having this DPDR episode, I had like two. rest of them were panic attacks. I Now that I can see it. So when I had the first DPDR episode, I think I took a leave of 3-4 days. I did not go for the whole week. Then again, I went for a 2 days. Then again, I had the DPDR episode while going back home. So again, I took leaves, and I was and the morning it used to be such a hard time to get up and prepare myself. I'll be going out again because you're constantly hearing sounds, more sounds than usual, and uh, everything is a little bit more scarier to you. The outside world, you are at home, you feel that I am in this situation, but I am at least at home. So you feel that you are secure in a comfortable environment, even in whichever realm you feel you are in. You While you are in home, you are in control, but getting out was such a struggle. But it's good. In the early first 2 months, I was uh, first few 1 month or 1.5 month, I was relating it with my stomach, and that it is something to do with this. And I if antibiotics do their job, I'll be fine. And I was doing a lot of, so this for brain fogginess, I was doing a lot of yoga. I was trying yoga. I was trying breathing exercises. So I was getting an impression that I was getting well all this while. So while this impression and all these things were keeping me occupied, I was like, okay, I'll get well. I'll get well. I'll get well. Just keep doing things. And I felt that I cannot take too many leaves also. And I somehow, because I was going to the office, I could see that I could go to the office. So in that sense also, I knew that I could manage it and I could still do my work. But once I got to know about it, it became really scary and became really hard. It became more hard. Um, and then when you know about it, you feel the urge to tell people about it, that I am in this shithole right now. I remember again, it was a weekend and I got to know what I was going through, and I was going through a really I was buried underground that I am going through this and I might have it for the rest of my life. I was going to my hometown again. I was with my mother. I was driving, and even the driving part and everything is scary too. Can I drive? Will I be able to drive? What if I collapse? What if I have a panic attack? What if my it comes out in front of my mother? So all of these things are going in your mind. I remember telling my mother in an indirect way that I am going through something really bad. Please pray for me and stuff like that. And she's like, I'm always praying for you. You'll be better and all that. So I was trying to I knew that I have to get my mind off it. So, and it was so hard. It was a constant struggle. I didn't know how to do it. I knew I have to do it and I have to leave it away. I have to accept it and it will go away on its own. But I didn't know the how. I didn't know, I knew the outcome I wanted to reach, and how it will happen, I didn't know. So, it was, yeah, I was struggling until I found your videos and your course. Very much struggling.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is a struggle. Um, yeah, it's interesting the way you mentioned the urge to tell people about it too, is because you're going through something that feels so disruptive and frightening, and you want
But
to.
it was the stigma that held me. That how do I tell them that it has happened because of weed, and how do I explain this? And I am in such a shitty place. What if I tell them? They'll be more worried. So I did not tell anybody at that time. I was thinking that I will get to the bottom of things, and then maybe I'll, tell everybody or anything.
Yeah. What is it like actually, Shivam, in India in terms of, mental health awareness and things like that? Is it something that's spoken about quite openly, or is there still, as you said, a stigma
I mean,
attached
it
to
is
things?
gradually picking up. Yeah, it is gradually up, but if something is there is a big stigma around weed. So that the younger population these days are doing it, and but you it's not socially acceptable at all. Liquor is socially acceptable. If you have liquor daily, you have a liver failure or something, that completely fine socially. But if you are associating anything with weed or any other drug, then it is a very big stigma. But come out in front of your parents and tell that this is what has happened, because they will take you in very bad light, that they didn't raise you right, they didn't put the right values in you. So all this kind of makes someone in my position not to disclose what happened.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. Um, yeah, and I think for a lot of people, the urge to speak about it is kind of tempered as well by the fear that you're going to sound quote unquote crazy. And that's something that I certainly worried about, because when I felt like I'm not here, or I feel disconnected from the world around me, and I feel like my vision is damaged and my memory is all over the place, and I feel like I might be stuck in a dream. And then I was like, but I can't say that to anybody because that's that sounds crazy. I was afraid to say it to my doctor, because I was thinking, like, I'm going to be in a mental hospital at the end of the day, because this sounds crazy. This isn't something a sane person would say. When so much of it is it's just the lack of awareness of it. Again, the idea, I always like to give the example of, take somebody who develops agoraphobia, but they've never heard of the word agoraphobia, and suddenly they can't step outside their house because the sky feels too big. And then when people come over to talk to them, they feel like the people are kind of on top of them. So they can't socialize, they can't go outside, they can't open the windows. What is that going to feel like? It's going to feel like they've gone crazy. So until you have the word, the label that goes on it, it all feels like I must be going crazy. And it's so important to, as we raise awareness of the condition, that the stigma associated with it eventually is reduced and stopped or finished. Um, what was the lowest point in the whole experience, Shivam? Is there a point that still stays with you?
Yeah, a couple actually. It was only after I knew what I was going through, as I said before. I was in my office, and we were constantly struggling with this, constantly asking that very scary thought, that what if it stays for the rest of your life? What if you are it says on the internet that most people get good on their own, but it says most, not all. So you keep asking yourself if it is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And I was in my office, I was doing some work, and I was absolutely having a shitty time. That's when I wrote I the note to myself. And I write to myself in the moments when I am the lowest, because in that moment I'm just looking for hope. And I just spend something in my note about, I'm at my lowest right now. And this is the second time. First time it was when I had a relationship, and we broke up. I felt that that was rock bottom. But again, I had hit a rock bottom with this. But I was telling myself in that moment that I'll get out of it. I'll be fine. Uh, and I mean, I was putting those hopeful thoughts and journaling them in my note. And another was when I was at my home, and I remember just given an interview for my next job. All this while, my work life, I was not kind of interfering with it. Um, After that interview, I was sitting in balcony. I was thinking that I might not go on with this. I actually thought of, what is the use of life if you're gonna be living like this, where you can't enjoy anything. I might act as I might give up on my life. Those were actual thoughts that were coming to my mind, and I remember telling it to my friend, and he told me, it will get. Again, he was trying to be hopeful, and he was telling me it will be fine. Don't worry about it. If people have, cancer. People have way worse disease than you, and this you I know that you will get out of it and stuff like that. That helped me a lot, that I had a friend who was supportive enough throughout that journey. So yeah, I mean, these were the two couple of times that I remember that I felt lowest, and I felt that I might end up giving up on my life. I don't want to live it like this.
Yeah. It's I'm sorry you went through that. It is, yeah, it's a common thing I hear because, and for me, it felt like, well, my enjoyment of everything has stopped. I mean, I can drag myself to do things, but even like going to the cinema, there's no joy in that anymore. There's no enjoyment. Spending time with my friends, not, I can't. I can barely focus on a conversation. I can't read a book. I can't do anything and enjoy it anymore. I can't look at a sunset like without feeling panicky and scared. And when all of that is taken from you and you don't know what to do about it, and you're also worried that what if I'm in the 30% that doesn't recover, it becomes very difficult to stay motivated to keep it going. Um, which is why it's so important that we do. You said something really interesting as well, Shivam. You said, you said I was going to the office, so I knew I could go to the office. And it's a really, really good way of putting it. Is that like, because when we have an anxiety-based condition, we feel like, well, I can't do these things. So for me, it was like, obviously, I can't drive my car. It's too dangerous for me to drive my car because I'll crash it because I'm too anxious or I'll faint. So I can't. So I stay away from the car because that's the safest thing to do. So now I can't drive my car anymore. So that's how I know that it's unsafe for me to drive my car. So
Exactly.
that's the new reality for me. And then what I'm hoping is that at some point the anxiety will stop, and then I'll feel safe enough to get into my car and drive it. But the problem is that that never happens. So and that's why people end up with these conditions for 15 years and 20 years. It's because you say, okay, well, I can't do these things anymore, so I'm going to stay in my house and avoid doing all these things until until the anxiety stops. And in the meantime, I'm just going to focus on researching it and understanding it better. Years and years and years go by. Whereas the basis of exposure therapy, for example, is understanding that it's not about waiting for the anxiety to go away before you do something. It's about doing it anyway and demonstrating to your brain that you can do it, regardless of whether the anxiety is there or not. So I forced myself to get into my car and just put on music and go and drive for 5 minutes and then come back. And just say to my brain, okay, I didn't die. I didn't crash the car. I didn't explode. I didn't drive over anyone. Nothing happened. I was fine. And I'm back home now. And a box has been ticked that says you could do that. So in the same way, I was getting into the car so I would know that I could get into the car. And that builds up over time. So the fact that you were at your office, even though I know it's something that you had to do because it's your job, it's your income, um, but that's a very, very positive thing. And
And
it
exactly the same thing happened, while you talk about the driving experience. I was shit scared that I have to drive my mother to the hometown. Will I be able to do it? I'm in such a bad place. I'm not able to hold myself even for 2 minutes. Am I going to able to drive for that long? And what if I have a panic attack in the car? And during that time also, while I remember, I was shit scared that I might not able, I might just call it off. I might just tell my mother that I can't go to the hometown because I'm not. I will make up some reason. But I had a panic attack on that day itself because I was thinking about a lot of it. And after that, and during when these panic attacks used to happen, I used to exercise breathing exercises. So that I did few breathing exercises, and I could calm myself, and I came out of that panic attack, and it did not lead to a DPDR episode. So and After that panic attack, whenever I felt that whenever panic attacks happened, there is a calm period after that. It's a lot of it is out of your brain right now. Whatever you were worried about, that panic attack is kind of calmed you down, and I just took a chance that day. That let's just take a chance, and I'm feeling better. I just had a panic attack, but I'm feeling better right now. Let's drive. And all this while, I had to distract myself. I kept on talking to my mother about this. How are you? Or this is something that I'm going through, so pray for me and all that. And she was being all spiritual about it, and she was talking, I be constantly talking. And music, you rightly said, I tried putting music. So you have to distract yourself as much as possible, and this is the time that I didn't know even knew how. I didn't see your videos. So this is just my way of dealing with things. And when I drove my mother to the hometown, I knew that I can drive it, and I came also. But it was a constant struggle. It was a constant struggle where I felt that you know have I seen something on the road? Oh, maybe it was nothing, or maybe it was something. Is this uh, I mean you're constantly looking for clues. Your brain is looking for trying to scare you with things. That what if you see something on the road? What if you do this, do that? So all you have to keep these thoughts as outside your brain as possible, and just keep getting ahead.
So, Shivam, with all that said, can you tell us about how your recovery started? What did it feel like? Was it something that was sudden, or did the feeling start to fade gradually? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, I saw one recovery video. I had seen a few videos where you spoke around symptoms of the issue, and where you quite calmly explain what it deals with and what you do and what you don't. I saw a couple of those on YouTube, and when I saw that recovery video, it reassured me that I can also do it, provided that I know how to do it. I bought your course. um and I remember getting better the moment I knew that this is what I have, this is the do's, and this is the don'ts. The do's are to take your attention elsewhere as much as possible, um, even if it sounds like a very big task to you. Just constantly keeping yourself away from it. You had described a few things. Start going to gym, meet as many friends as possible, call your friends, uh, and start going to office. I was already going to office, fortunately, so I doubled down on that. I will take no more leaves. uh, I started going to the gym. That helped me a lot, because I don't know what gym does to you. It just instills keeps instilling some confidence into you, and that's the confidence is something that you are very short on while you're going through this situation. So you need that strength that gym in a way provides. I don't know how physicality is linked to mentality, but it is. So gym helped me a lot. You told that you can either read a book or you can watch things. The fact is that you have to keep yourself occupied at all times. So I started doing what I liked to do earlier. I started binging shows. I was reading a book. I started watching a lot of stand-up comedians who are there on YouTube. It's the funny part is that if you're not, if it is something that you're not enjoying fully, your brain will again go back to it. It has to be engaging enough for you to be glued to it. So and not feel sad about it. So stand-ups were something that I started laughing with, and I watched a lot of stand-ups, uh, and I was watching this show Ted Lasso, which is again kind of a sports show, but it's a very like it's a drama and comedy, so it kind of drew me in. And I was watching a lot of sports. I love sports. I love playing sports. So I was watching in India. I'm sure you also know about it. It's cricket, and in Ireland also has a team. So I was watching a lot of cricket, and I was trying to put myself away from it as much as possible. And your course kind of did it for me in the sense that I had all the answers, and I had all the answers to what ifs. So it was just being rational about it, because my brain works in a certain way, which is that if I know the answer, I will work towards it no matter what. So while it was not an easy cake to eat at all, every moment of my recovery period was a struggle. Every moment was a struggle. And e- even when I'm watching the a comedy video, I am laughing, but I know I'm not well. Somewhere that thought keeps coming back, coming back, coming back. But I didn't I tried to not focus on that, and kept pushing myself to, okay, let's complete this video, keep watching. And even when I was not, the hardest part through the recovery is the in between moments when you're not occupied. For example, when you're going to the loo, you stop the video, or you've stopped whatever you're watching, you are in the loop, and then you are thinking about it again. And it's such an hard it's such a hard thing, because you've trained yourself to think about it 24/7. Now you have to train yourself to not think about it 24/7. So while you started thinking about it 24/7 unconsciously, you have to do the effort to not think about it consciously, which is the hard part. Because I don't know how it works, but unconsciously you are just while you are in a terrified state, you keep looking about it, you keep asking about it, and you feel safe that what I'm doing right now is I am trying to get to point B, which is how do I get better. So I am doing the right thing, thinking about it, but it is not the right thing. When you know that you don't have to think about it, it is just a thought habit, and it is just a thought that is stuck in your brain. And so I understood that, but it was struggle still to keep myself motivated enough every day to not look or research about it, or uh, to focus on what I was doing. And I remember you talk about that, you should go out as much as possible. So I remember on Sundays I started going to uh, parks, and I started walking, doing meditation there. So I tried a lot of things, even when I didn't know about it. So I told you I tried yoga, I tried breathing exercises, I was doing meditation also, but that time it was not helping me. All this was not helping me. But but when you told me that I have to go out and I have to do it as much as possible, so I used to go out on parks, I used to play with my friend. So I later into my recovery period, let's say 1 month after that, I started meeting my friends. I started frequently calling them and being on the phone with them. So it was an effort which required a lot. And it was a constant effort which was required.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it so well, Shivam, when you said you've trained yourself to think about it 24/7. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. You've inadvertently been training your brain to focus on these thoughts and feelings all day long. And you think that when you do this first, that you're figuring it out and you're dismantling it. but you're not. You're just telling your brain that this is worthy of your focus. And when your brain sees that and you keep practicing it day after day after day and training yourself to do that, then that's what your brain keeps doing, you know? Um, and what we do in recovery is we train ourselves in the opposite direction. And the key word is training. It's not the mistake we make is we try to find a switch to turn it off. Because when it happened, it felt quite sudden. It felt like we hit a switch. So now to find that switch and turn it off. But there is no switch. And it's unfair to expect yourself to be able to stop a habit like that in the same way that you can't take a pill and stop it like that. But you can't stop it. But you have to train yourself away from these thoughts and feelings, which feels very, very strange to do. But in doing so, you slow down and stop the feedback loop that's causing it to happen, and then fades away and stops. The stand-up comedy thing is really interesting as well, Shivam. Like the thing about just laughing, which feels like it's such an interruption. So as we said, you've been training yourself to think about this way and to feel afraid and panicked and terrified and despondent and depressed. And then in the middle of it, you watch a stand-up and you start laughing your head off. And it interrupts that pattern so completely that it's almost kind of like, oh, I'm laughing. I appear to be laughing now. And they're like, oh no, but I got to, sure, that thing's waiting for me after I'm finished laughing. But then you used to go, okay, and then you interrupt it again. And you keep interrupting it. And in doing so, you're focusing away from it. You're focusing on a joke. You're focusing on laughter. And that interruption is so powerful because each time you do that, you're demonstrating to your brain that you don't need to keep doing this. This isn't like a permanent maze that you're stuck in. You know, I always like to, the way I like to think about it is that when we have DPDR, it feels like recovery is climbing Mount Everest. It feels like it's this massive, massive task. And while it does take time and effort, recovery itself is actually right beside you at all times. It's right there.
Yes.
It's just a distraction away. When you refocus your attention onto watching a stand-up comic, and even if just for 30 seconds you're into a joke and that's really cool, and there's a punchline, that's hilarious. For those 30 seconds, you recovered. You just experienced recovery. And I know you get back into the, oh, now I'm thinking about it again. That's okay. It's training. But it's right beside you. It's right beside you at all times. Shivam, and then in terms of like actually getting back to normal life, what did it feel like? Did it feel like the symptoms like slowly faded away? Was there a moment where you said to yourself, oh my goodness, I think it's gone? What was that like?
This is something that I wanted to speak about actually, because this is something that I actually into my recovery period, putting a timeline into it or checking if it's gone or not. Because, people come say that they got recovered in 1 month and they're very casual about it. Yeah, and right now, I realize the privilege to be where I am, getting out of it. But I also realized that it was not a cake, and it was different for everyone. It is different for everyone, and the timeline period is different for everyone. Um, During the recovery, you have so many pushbacks, if I have to call it, where you feel that you were doing so better. Let's say you buy the course or you read about it and you are on into your recovery. You start your recovery, and you're doing good, very good for the first few weeks, and you just believe in that stuff that okay, I'll get better. But in the third week, you'll have another not panic attack, but you'll have those thoughts again, and you might experience um, things again, that then you feel that it is not going, and it is the anxiety is coming back, and it just takes over you uh, for some time. But the key is to just keep pulling yourself in the right direction. You will be knocked down by it in your recovery period. Not, I mean, it could be different for everyone, how many times it happens, but you have to believe. I think the strongest thing that has helped me was the belief, because if you notice that I even mentioned that you know uh, when I try to accept it, that okay, as where I read somewhere that accept it and it will go away on its own. Whenever I accepted it, it got worse. So the belief, accept it in a way that you have it right now, but it will go away. Always have that belief. Always have that belief that it will go away, because belief is the strongest thing that will get you out of it. So you gotta keep hope by your side. You gotta keep belief by your side, and you gotta just trust the knowledge. As I mentioned, knowledge is the pill, and the recovery period is not linear. It will have its own good days, bad days. You also mention it in the videos. So that's what actually I went through. And you just gotta make sure that you are holding on to the right set of information. Prior to your recovery period, your brain was feeding you a lot of wrong information. You have to just make sure that you are countering those thoughts rationally, and doing what is the core, which is uh, trying to put other things in your brain. I told you about the in between moments. So when I watched the video, or I was watching this show, I'm into the loo and I'm thinking about it again. Okay, this is not gone yet, or whatever. I don't remember actually, but I remember that I used to struggle in that in between moments. I started putting other thoughts into my mind. Like, okay, what am I doing in work tomorrow? Or what am I doing in gym tomorrow? What do I have to do this? So I started putting other things into my brain, or tried training it that I'll think about something else, not this. In even in those between moments, and the powerful thing that I heard in those videos were that even for if you were like if your attention goes away for 3 seconds from the DPDR itself, you've recovered from you recovered from it for 3 seconds. That just you repeat. So that was very powerful. That uh, if it can happen for 3 seconds, it can happen for forever. And I just need to make sure that I'm pulling myself in the right direction. How doesn't matter how challenging this time is, how filled with struggle this time is, how much I'm managing things or whatever, but just keep on moving in the right direction. And it could be different for everyone in terms of timeline. As you have, I need to I have to re-emphasize this, because it was not just 1 month with me. Even I tell you, it was around 3 months of recovery. Even after that, I was struggling with some some anxiety and stuff like that. uh, so if you remember, I had mailed you in Jan, after 2 months of my recovery, that the DPDR symptoms have faded away, but I'm struggling with the anxiety. And a lot of it has to do with what you have heard about it. In that recovery episode that I'd watched, the person was talking about that they got out of the DPDR, but they were struggling with anxiety. So these thoughts were in my brain, that I am also struggling with anxiety. And I asked you, tell me the drug that you took, the herbal medicine that you took for it. But that thought itself, that my anxiety is not going away, went away. So it was again a thought. It was a type of DPDR, or a type of anxiety, that I am having anxiety, and then I to work for it side by side. Thankfully, I did not need to take drugs, and I don't mind, or I don't advise people against it. Those people who can get benefit out of it, they should probably do it and see for themselves, as you say also. But I was trying to explain that uh, even that thought that my anxiety is not going away was part of DPDR recovery. And it actually happens when you feel you are recovered when you are not scared from it, that it might happen again. Or I know that presently sitting in this position that it happens again, I'll be able to deal with it. That's when I feel that you can say that you are recovered. And it happened, and you, in your recovery period, you say that you know you were just on the piano and you suddenly realize that you haven't thought about it for so long, and that's when you realize you recovered. But for me, you're constantly checking on yourself whether when you know all this, that Sean recovered it this way or this person recovered it that way. So you keep checking yourself, keep asking, have I recovered fully? Have I recovered fully? So stop that's something that I did wrong in my recovery period. Kept asking myself, kept focusing on timeline. Um, so that's I want to say that just don't focus on the timeline. It does not matter how much time it takes for you. Just don't put your attention onto the time period at all, and just keep going on the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. um, the word you use for pushbacks is really good. The anxiety, it feels like anxiety pushes back while you're recovering. I like to think of them as speed bumps. They're just like speed bumps on the road. And what we have been doing is stopping at every speed bump, getting out of the car, and looking at them and going, "Oh my God, how's this? What am I doing? It's not working." And then as recovery continues, we feel the speed bump. Okay, that's not the best, but I won't stop the car. I keep going, and this isn't going to stop my progress. The worst it's going to do is going to briefly slow it down. We keep going. The thing about acceptance as well, Shivam, it's a very, very common misconception about the idea of acceptance that, people say, and I certainly did too. Okay, I've accepted that it's DPDR. Why is it still there? It's like, that's not acceptance though. that's that's just putting a name on it and then being frustrated that it's still there. Acceptance is saying, okay, this is uncomfortable. It's frightening sometimes, but also it's not going to kill me. It's not going to turn into anything worse. I know what this is. It's there at the moment. It's annoying when I'm trying to watch this movie, but I accept that it's there. I accept it. Um, and and it's not going to stop me from going to work or driving my car or meeting my friends or doing anything. Like, that's acceptance. It's not accepting it and expecting that to switch it off. It's accepting that it's there, that's going to be with you for a little while, but that you don't change your life to accommodate it anymore. That's acceptance. And then also refocusing away from it. And the thing is, well, you said, Shivam, about, if it happens again, I'll deal with it. And this is like the core of so much of all recovery from anxiety-based conditions is, again, it's not about getting to a place where you say, I want to feel no anxiety anymore so I can drive my car. It's saying, I'll drive my car, and if I feel anxiety, I'll deal with it. If I have a panic attack, it's a great way to think about panic attacks. Like, if I have a panic attack, because for me, I felt like, well, even if I'm recovering, what happens if I have a panic attack while I'm driving my car? Then I'm in trouble. Then I'm back to square one. What happens if I go to the cinema and I have a panic attack? Then that's terrible. How am I going to deal with that? And what I said to myself was, and this is, I think everyone does to some extent, to say, well, if I drive my car and I have a panic attack, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I pull the car over. I sit there for 10 minutes maybe. I drink a bit of water. I catch my breath. And I keep going. It's not, again, I've had panic attacks before. Panic attack didn't kill me. It didn't drive me crazy. It never has to anyone. And it's not going to do it now. So the worst case scenario, I can deal with it, right? I will deal with it. The likely scenario is that I get in my car, I drive, I feel a bit anxious, but I get there and I come back and I'm fine. So whatever happens, I'll deal with it. But I'm not letting panic attacks or anxiety decide whether I drive my car or not anymore. Because if I do that, I'll do that forever. That will be my life. And I'm not doing it anymore. But I will deal with it if it happens. It's a kind of a stoic way of looking at it. Just like if it happens, it happens. But I'm not changing it because it's the changing, it's the accommodating it that gives it power. When we just let it be there and don't change our lives around it, that takes the power away from it because it's communicating to your brain that it's simply not important. Shivam, how was the DP manual helpful in your recovery?
I, I mean, as I've explained throughout this interview, um, it was telling me how I will be able to do it. It delved into deeper steps, into countering these thoughts, into knowing a lot about it, uh, accepting it in a right way, uh, having things to do, creating a schedule of for you. I'm not a very schedule kind of a guy. You speak about going to gym every day, but still I was going 5 days, and it's like I will. I mean, I'm still lazy. So although I was not doing it exactly as you had told me, I was trying to follow most of these things. Um, Trying to meet friends as many much as possible. And I think, as I've said before, also, once you have the knowledge, the right kind of knowledge, which your course 100% provides, I did not have any answers, any questions left after watching those videos. I had to come back to it after I had a pushback. And I read and I'd seen a video where you explain that you can come out, you can come back to these videos and watch them again, but make sure you really need it. And because it's actually what happens in the first time you start your recovery period. um, you leave your guard down. um, you were so much into this, on the right path and everything. You kind of forget about how to deal with it, or one, if it strikes back, uh, you forget about the knowledge, the core knowledge. So then you can go back to it. I did go back to it. um, and after watching a couple of videos, I think you had given the additional videos also, those also helped. So it's just going back to it and doubling down on the knowledge. And y- that actually helped me. Otherwise, I know for sure that I would have been sitting here with DPDR till today if I didn't have the right knowledge. So I think it's extremely important, this course. I mean, and I'm not saying this just because I'm here, but I feel it because this is what I believe.
That's great, Shivam. Thank you so much. I'm delighted that the course was so helpful. So
Yes, because the thing is, nobody, even if you go to the doctor and every one, nobody knows it so deep. Nobody has experienced so many people recovering around them or talking to them. So you have encountered so many questions, you have encountered so many thoughts, and you have countered them with rationality. So I think being rational and having someone who understands it for so long, who has looked at almost all facets of it, so that kind of really helps you. The half your job is done once you buy the course and you just know what to do.
yeah, yeah, it is so important that, like as we were saying earlier, that once you just get the right information and you are, because it feels at the start like you're in a pinball machine, you're just in a storm and you don't know what direction to go in, and you feel like no one can help you and you can't help yourself. And then once you get the correct information and you learn what this is, okay, it doesn't switch it off immediately, but it just points you in the right direction. And as you said, Shivam, like once you have a goal to work towards, I know it'll take a bit of time and take a bit of effort, but as long as I'm moving towards something, that's the motivation I can work with, as opposed to just going like, well, I don't know if I tried this method or that method, and in 6 months' time, nothing will have made a difference. But now that I know what this is, and I know that other people have recovered, I can start moving towards that. And that's a
And
very,
you keep feeling the recovery. You do feel the recovery. When you are on the right path, you do feel that some of the symptoms are slowly going away. Although the key is not to look at those, but I mean, it's so it happens so unconsciously that you are always trying to look for clues, but you don't necessarily need to, and it is an advice, that you should not do that. But you do keep getting better. Uh, First month into your recovery, second month into your recovery, you know that my vision came back. I was able to see within a few 1 week or 2 week. I was able to see the blur which was there on far away places, that I couldn't read things. I was able to read, but again, it happened for me in 2 weeks. It could happen for anybody in maybe longer, maybe lesser. No timeline on that. So yeah, you keep getting better, and you keep getting pushbacks. Good days, bad days, just keep going in the right direction. Can't emphasize it enough.
yeah, certainly. Um, so now that you've recovered, Shivam, uh, is getting back to normal after DPDR really getting back to normal?
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, it is the condition, or it is the uh, it is what you want when you are in DP. All you want to feel is getting back to normal. Will you always think about, will I ever get back to normal? Will there be 10%, 5%? And throughout your recovery also, you are thinking, okay, it's gone on 70%, it's still 10%. What if this 10% stays? What if this 5% stays? So when you completely gotten back to 100%, where like you were before, I mean, it is what you wished for. You do completely get back to normal. I enjoy. I'm not going back to taking weed again in my life, because I know there is a correlation there. Um, but I enjoy drinks. My occasional drinks are still on, and so the life is completely back to normal. My attention is not even 1% on this DPDR anymore. It was just that I wanted to. There was some thought in my brain that I wanted to come on Sean's show and try and about speak about my experience and try and add what I could. That's why I came here. Otherwise, I have no business thinking about DPDR anymore. I have better things to do, you know.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that there is an occasional thought about it where I feel that how bad of a time that was, and anything like that. But apart from that, it is not a concern anymore at all. You're just way better, because now with it, you also know how to deal with anxiety. DPDR, I know I can deal with, but you can also deal with anxiety with us. So even if there is an anxious moment, or where I feel something like that, I'm very confident in that it will go away on its own in some time. I just need to get through this 1 hour, half hour. Just need to sleep it off. Whenever I'm anxious or anything like that, it's just putting my brain out of it, and also challenging myself. Whenever I'm in this situation where I'm feeling that I'm anxious, I will try to go out and have a walk outside. I would try to talk to someone. So yeah, how to deal with the other facets of DPDR, which is anxiety itself. So it's way better. I'm in a better position, and I know how to tackle with various facets of it also.
Yeah, 100%. Once you go through something like this or any anxiety-based condition, it gives you tools to be able to deal with any form of anxiety throughout the rest of your life. It's difficult when you are going through it, but it once you understand it, you prevent it from ever happening again, and it also gives you a much healthier perspective on just normal day-to-day life, normal day-to-day stresses and things, because you know that you've been through something that is very, very difficult, but now you've understood it. Again, it gives you a much better perspective on anxiety and stress in all its forms, and it feels a lot less intimidating. So Shivam, one last question for you. There's going to be people watching this interview who may be going through something very similar to what you went through. What advice would you have for those people? What advice would you have for yourself if you could go back and speak to yourself right when this first had happened?
First, I would like to, empathize with myself and with the people who are going through it right now. I know that I can't completely understand what you are going through right now, but I've been through it. So I know I do no longer know how it feels, but I know how it felt once. So, and this is the actual advice that I was looking for in that recovery period also, that just hang in there and uh, be strong while you are into your recovery period, uh, and just know that everybody needs to go through this, like the way you are going through it, and it is just a matter of time. If you put your attention into doing the right thing, which the DP manual quite clearly explains, you will be out of it regardless of how much time it needs to take for you to get out of it. Just have some, don't blame yourself while you are at it also, in on any juncture of this whole experience, that I might have done this so I got this, or might have done that so I got this and I'm getting bad karma or anything like that. Don't blame yourself. It's just a coincidence that you've had it, uh, and it is a matter of time that you get out of it. Just try and be strong, uh, and just keep moving in the right direction, and before you know it, uh, you will be out of it. And don't look for a time. um, this is something that I did wrong, and I would want to tell myself that uh, so what I confused your advice, Sean, was that you speak about a moment where you are on your piano and you say, I haven't thought about it for so long. But for me, that that moment came a lot later, because while I was better and everything like that, that thought would still creep into my mind uh, a few times a day. So I was looking for your piano moment all throughout my recovery. What if, when will I get that moment where I'm just, I don't think about it for so many days? So, I mean, the key thing here is to not look for that moment. That moment does not define that you have recovered, or that you have. What defines that you have recovered is the progress that you have been making. Even if that progress is pushed back a few meters, it has pushed back a few meters, in the reverse direction, you still need to be keep moving, and not looking for that moment where you are fully recovered. You will realize it on your own. Don't look for a moment. Just keep focusing on the and going in the right direction.
Mm, that's great advice. I don't actually play the piano though. Maybe it was the guitar.
Might have been the guitar. It might have been the guitar.
Might have been the
I'm sure.
guitar. I'd love to play piano though. I wish.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Shivam, that's fantastic advice, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. Um, it's been so lovely to speak with you today, man. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience. I know there's going to be people watching this who find your story inspirational. And it's fantastic to have people from India on the channel as well. Just it's great to see there's people from all around the world who experience this and who can and will get through it. So yeah, very much appreciated. Shivam, thank you so much. Best of luck with your work and with your career. And it's been great to have you on the channel.
Thanks for having me here, Sean. I hope everybody gets something out of this.
I'm absolutely certain they will. Thanks so much, Shivam. Take care. Nice to meet you. Bye bye.